After that, okay, we have gone through certain examples like if it is or logical expression, Boolean expression, then how we are going to apply MCDC technique that we have seen. Okay, suppose if it is or and Boolean expression, the Boolean expression is involving the or operator or and Boolean operator or XOR. Okay, minimum there should be three test cases. If two inputs are there, the general formula is you are writing three test cases. That is, in general, I can arrive at if there are n inputs are there, then n plus 1 test cases should be designed if you are going for MCDC coverage. And we have seen this, okay, how it is linearly increased with the basic conditions. If there are n, it is n plus 1 test cases. We have seen with the example. Yesterday I told you to take up one more example over here. Okay, the simple example we had taken, that is this. If A and parenthesis B or C, I told you to come up with a minimal set. Okay, minimal set of the test cases that can be used via MCDC technique. Okay, I hope everybody has done it. If anybody has not done, please today try it out. If you are not getting it, please let me know. I shall solve this example. Okay, let me just give you the background for this particular problem. Okay, first and foremost, whenever you are going for MCDC technique, first you have to frame the truth table. After that, you enhance the truth table by writing the test cases like this. Okay, how you can show the independency of A, that is how A is going to impact the final outcome independently by keeping B and C constant. Okay, after that, here along with the test case number 1 and test case number 5, okay, how it will impact the result. Okay, initially they have taken up 2, 3, 4, 6 test cases which will actually impact the final outcome. Later they have taken 2, 3, 4, 7. Then minimal set they have arrived is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the test cases which will be impacting the final outcome independently. Okay, as such there will be no numericals on MCDC coverage. Okay, but if asked, okay, you should be in a position to answer it. Okay, till today we have not asked. Okay, suppose if anybody asks you how do you apply MCDC coverage in your interview, okay, suppose, then you should be in a position to answer that question. Okay, how you are going to show the input variables involved in the Boolean expression, they are going to impact independently the final outcome of the condition statement. That you have to be very thorough with. Okay, and you can take up one more example. Okay, there is one function called my function. Okay, wherein it is taking up Boolean variables, three Boolean variables, basically C1, C2, and C3, and they are making use of C1 and C2 in order to arrive at the value of D1, and in order to get the value of D2 they are making use of D1 and C3. Okay, you can just take up this example everybody and try to apply MCDC technique. Okay, MCDC technique you can just apply for this particular function. How they have done it, initially they have taken C1 and C2 and they have got the value for D1. Okay, and accordingly they have designed the test cases. One second, accordingly they have designed the test cases. Okay, fine. Here accordingly they have designed the test cases. With respect to the first statement, this is the truth table, and with respect to the second statement, this is the truth table. Okay, after that, how they are framing the final test suite. I have already told test suite is a set of test cases. Okay, it will have all the subset of possible input tuples which will satisfy MCDC criteria. Okay, so they are showing you the independency of D1 and C3. They have taken up which all are the final things involved over here in the particular code snippet. D1 is there, okay, D1 is there, and C3 is there, because that is impacting the value of D2. That's why, okay, that's why they are taking D1, D2, C3. Okay, and which all are the values that are impacting the value of D2 is D1 and C3, because ultimately I am checking the value of D2 in the conditional statement over here. You can take up this example and try to solve this. How we can apply MCDC technique for a particular function. Okay, and they have framed the truth table, and accordingly they have arrived at the test cases or the possible combinations of the inputs that are going to impact the final decision of a test condition which is under study. Okay, this is how I can carry out MCDC coverage. Any doubts are there with respect to MCDC coverage for anybody? Yes? If any doubts are there, please put in the chat box. Okay, as such, numericals we are not going to ask, but little bit uh, simple example can be asked on this. Okay, not complex numerical problem, but simple one can be asked for application of this MCDC coverage. Okay, this is one example we have gone through. You can take it up and try to solve this. Okay, and in this particular slide they are comparing the various coverage methods by taking up different criteria. We have gone through statement coverage, decision coverage, condition coverage, then condition bar decision coverage, modified condition bar decision coverage. Multiple condition coverage, we have not done it. Okay, you need not worry. Okay, yeah, just focus on statement coverage, branch coverage, decision coverage, condition coverage, MCDC coverage. Okay, these things should be known by you. Okay, first criteria for the comparison is about every point of entry and exit in the program, whether it is being invoked at least one time or not. Okay, which is well taken care by which method. Okay, decision coverage will take care this particular criteria. Okay, it will check for the entry and exit point in the program, whether it has been called at least once or not, whether it has been traversed once or not, even with condition coverage, even with MCDC, but not with the statement coverage, because you are just focusing on the statements, not on the entry and exit point of a program. Okay. After that, every statement in the program, whether they are executed at least once or not, it is only with respect to statement coverage you can achieve this particular criteria. Okay, these are the different criteria they have used for comparing different techniques or different strategies with respect to structural testing. Okay, and this can be asked. Okay, how can you compare various criteria? Okay, for that you have to take up these criteria and you have to explain. After that, they have taken up every decision in the program, whether they have taken all the possible outcomes at least once, that is either true or false. And this can be achieved with the help of decision coverage, MCDC, wherever decision is involved. Okay, you can just go for, you can achieve this particular criteria. Okay, then you have something called every condition in the decision in the program, whether it has taken all the possible outcomes at least one, that is with respect to condition coverage. That is with respect to condition coverage. Then it is also possible here every condition in the decision in the program, whether it has taken all the possible outcomes, it can be achieved by MCDC, condition coverage, multiple condition coverage. Okay. After that, every condition in the decision, whether it has been shown independently affecting the decision, that is with respect to MCDC, you already know it. With which technique you are going to show the impact of various conditions that is impacting the final outcome of a particular condition, that can be shown with the help of MCDC technique. Okay, then every combination of the condition outcome within the decision has been invoked at least once, that is with respect to multiple condition coverage, which is not there for you. Up to MCDC it is there for you. Okay, that is about MCDC coverage. Okay, after that, let me take up the one more part of your syllabus. Okay, let me share the screen with you. Okay, Is the screen visible? Structural testing. You can just put in the chat box saying if it is visible or not. Okay, this is one more presentation that I have prepared. Okay, with respect to the structural testing. Is the screen visible to everybody? This is different slide. Okay, this is the different slide. Okay, fine, visible, good, good. Thank you. Okay, let me just go through this. Okay, we have so far covered the MCDC coverage, which was coming under structural testing. Later, we have something called path testing. Okay, it is also one of the structural testing methods which will involve with respect to the execution of the parts in the source code. Okay, you are focusing on the execution of parts which are present in the source code. Okay, and here the main objective is to determine the faults lying within the piece of code by studying the parts which are present. Okay, by studying the parts or by testing the executable parts in the source code, you are going to get to know about the faults within the source code. Okay, and suppose if the program includes multiple entry and exit points, then testing each one of them is very complicated. Okay, so in order to reduce the complexity, we go for something called basis path testing. We say something called basis path testing, which is a technique used for testing multiple entry and exit points within the source code. After that, how can we perform this basis path testing? Okay, main objective of this basis path testing is to define the number of independent paths. Okay, so with the help of these independent paths, I can design the number of test cases. Okay, so that I can cover maximum source code. Okay, see, if the number of test cases are more, you are covering more area or more source code can be tested with the help of test cases. Okay, after that they have taken up this simple example wherein they have taken up this CFG. Number of nodes are 1 2 3 4. There are totally 7 nodes, and the the nodes are linked by the edges. And if you are connecting the nodes and if you are reaching certain point, then that will form a path. And this is the code snippet they have considered. Accordingly, they have written the CFG. Okay, what are the possible paths which I can test here? Okay, one path can be, please everybody focus, from node 1 to 2, from 2 to 3, 3 to 5, 5 to 6, 6 to 7. This is one path. Another path can be from node number 1 to 2, then 4, then 5, then 6, then 7. This is the second path that I can test. Then there is one more path which is available for me, that is from node 1 to node 5 directly, then node 7. So there are 3 independent paths available in the program, the code snippet that I have considered. Okay, so there are certain conditional statements, that is if B is greater than C. Before that I have one conditional statement, if A is equal to 50. Then you are checking for another conditional statement. Okay, accordingly they have drawn the CFG, and from the CFG they are deriving or they are getting to know about the number of independent paths available in the CFG. Okay, after that, how can I apply the basis path testing? Okay, first and foremost, you have to draw the control graph as per the code snippet given to you. Okay, with the help of control graph, you will determine different paths available in the source code. After that, you will compute the cyclomatic complexity. We'll study about this in the later slide, how to compute cyclomatic complexity. Okay, the cyclomatic complexity will give you the number of the independent paths in the source code. Okay, then you will form the set of paths. You will find the set of paths Then, based on the paths that you have arrived at, you are going to design the test cases to exercise each path that you have identified in the previous step. Okay, these are the steps for basis path testing. First is draw the CFG. After that, you calculate cyclomatic complexity as to know about the independent paths, the number of independent paths. Then you will form the set of paths. Then you will design the test cases in order to exercise each path that you have identified in the previous step. Okay. Then I have one more terminology called path adequacy. What do you mean by path adequacy? I have already told you it is like a criteria. Okay. As you have the different criteria statement for each coverage techniques, you also have a criteria for path testing. What is that adequacy criteria? Adequacy criteria for path testing is each path in the source code must be executed at least once. You have to design or generate the test cases in such a way that the number of paths available in the source code can be exercised at least once. Okay, and how do you arrive at a certain quantitative measure for this path testing? That is, we have a formula here, coverage measurement, that is number of executed paths divided by total number of paths into 100. That will give you the coverage associated with the path testing. Okay, you have to express in terms of percentage always. Okay, after that, what are the advantages associated with this path testing? Okay, if there are test cases which are performing or doing the testing of same part or same section of the source code, such a test I call it as a redundant test. Such a test can be eliminated with the help of path testing. First advantage. Okay. Second one, it will focus more on the logic that you have framed in your source code. Okay, rather than thinking about the syntax. Okay, it will focus more on the logic you have implemented in the program. Okay, then it will also facilitate analytical things associated with the source code rather than focusing on the design of the code that you have written. Okay, it will focus on the logical reasoning, how you have implemented the logic. Okay, and test cases that are being generated with the help of basis path testing will execute every statement in the program at least once. Thereby, you are also doing the statement coverage. Okay, these are the advantages associated with the path testing. Okay, next you have something called loop boundary adequacy, which is basically meant for the loops, the iterative statements in your source code. How do we test such statements which are repeatedly executed? Okay, and whenever I go for loop boundary adequacy, there are certain criteria that has to be satisfied by set of test cases that I'm going to design. What is that? Okay, you have to take care of three things and you have to test these three scenarios whenever you generate test suite. First and foremost, there should be at least one test case in the test suite which will check whether the loop body is iterated zero number of times. Okay, you are testing that also, even though you may feel, why should I test that? No, as a tester, you have to test all the possibilities associated with the source code. Okay, you should have one test case in the test suite wherein you are testing at least the body of the loop is executed zero number of times. That is, if the condition is not satisfied, it will come out of the loop. Okay, that is the scenario where you will not enter into the body of the loop. Okay, that scenario should be tested by the test case, one of the test cases in the test suite. Second criteria is that you should have at least one test case wherein the body of the loop is iterated at least one time. Okay, after that, you should also have the test case in the test suite wherein the body of the loop is iterated more than one time. These are three things that you have to take care whenever you are designing a test suite for testing the loops within the source code. Okay, after that, I have something called LCSAJ adequacy. Okay, what do you mean by this LCSAJ? Okay, actually in depth this is not there for you. Okay, as a part of this particular unit, I'm just telling you for your information. That's it. Okay, what do you mean by LCSAJ? That is, it stands for linear code sequence and jumps. Okay, linear code sequence and jumps. Basically, you are dealing with the sequential execution. Also, you are considering certain jumps in the source code. Okay, that is sequential subpath in the control flow graph, starting and ending in a branch. Okay, you have to just know about this terminology. What do you mean by LCSAJ? That is linear code sequence and jumps. Linear code sequence and jumps. Okay, just to know only this terminology. Okay, as such, there is no numericals based on this particular adequacy. Okay, so this is about the sequential subpath you are going to consider in the control flow graph, that is starting and ending in a particular branch. Okay, if you have a branch, okay, in order to carry out this particular LCSAJ, you are going to consider the subpath which is associated with the starting and end point of a particular branch. With this, you will carry out the statement coverage indirectly as well as branch coverage. Okay, this is with respect to linear code sequence and jumps. Okay, and just few minutes back I was talking about cyclomatic complexity, which was there in path testing. Okay, basis path testing, it will make use of the computation of cyclomatic adequacy or cyclomatic complexity. How do we measure this? Okay, it is basically associated with the paths in the source program. Okay, and it is, one second, it is associated with the number of independent paths which are present in the control flow graph. And how do I compute? And what is the formula for computation of cyclomatic complexity? That is, if you have edges which is denoted by the letter E, and if you have nodes which is represented by N, and if C is connected components of the graph. Okay, then for any arbitrary graph, the formula for computation of cyclomatic adequacy is E minus N plus C, where C is connected components of a graph. Okay, how many components you have connected? Okay, that you have to give the number over here, and you know E represents edges, N represents nodes. But since we are interested with respect to control flow graph, the formula for computation of cyclomatic complexity is a little bit constant, that is E minus N plus 2. E minus N plus 2, it is the formula for the computation of cyclomatic complexity if I am going or if I am making use of a control flow graph. Okay, this formula please remember, E minus N plus 2 for the control flow graph. This particular formula you have to remember, E minus N plus 2 for any control flow graph in order to find out the number of independent paths existing in the specific control flow graph, where E represents the edges in the control flow graph, N represents the number of nodes in the control flow graph. Okay, what it does? It will basically count the number of independent parts that have been executed. Okay, so with the help of cyclomatic complexity or cyclomatic adequacy, I'll get to know about the executed number, okay, the number of executed independent parts in the CFG. Okay, and the formula is E minus N plus 2. After that, we have something called procedure call testing. In the database, you have written something called stored procedures. I hope everybody has written. Okay, procedures are same as that of functions, but they vary with respect to certain syntax. Okay, and in the program, if there are n number of procedures available, you will make use of procedure in order to perform certain tasks. Okay, and how can I test the calls made to n number of procedures within my source code? Okay, and how can I get to know about the relationship that is existing between the individual procedures of a particular source code? Okay, this is basically here the objective is to test the procedures within the source code. And if you're going for the integration testing, this is not suitable. You cannot apply procedure call testing whenever you are testing or if you are integrating the components of a source code, different modules of a source code. Okay, suppose if you are carrying out a single unit testing component, then within the component, if there are n number of procedures, you can test them by making use of procedure called testing. Okay, that is about the procedure called testing. Okay, what you are exactly doing with procedure called testing? You are checking, okay, the entry and exit point of a particular procedure. Okay, whenever you make a call to a specific procedure in the source code, first and foremost, it will enter that particular procedure, and that point I call it as the entry point. Then once all the execution, the statements are associated with a particular procedure is being executed, then it has to come to the end of that procedure by passing through the exit point of a procedure. The point where that particular procedure ends, I call it as the exit point. So you are supposed to carry out testing with respect to entry and exit points of a particular procedure. Then the same entry point can be called from many points in the source code. That also should be tested here. Okay, if you are calling a particular procedure from different more than one points in the source code, with respect to each point, you are going to test by making call to a specific procedure from different points within the source code. That I call it as call coverage. Okay, then we have something called subsumption relation. Subsumes means here the word you have to focus is about subsume. What do you mean by subsume? Okay, here we have gone through various techniques like statement coverage, branch coverage, condition, MCDC coverage, path testing. All these things we have done. Suppose if I carry out one of the techniques, it so happens that it will cover the other coverage technique also. That is what I call it as subsume. Okay, indirectly you are performing the other coverage technique by going for the one more technique. Suppose if you are going for part testing, okay, just look at this, everybody look at this diagram. Suppose subsumption relation, this is very important, this diagram is very important. There are a thin line they have established over here in order to differentiate the theoretical criteria as well as in practical scenario what exactly it happens. Okay, and this diagram is very important, okay, in order to explain subsumption relation. Okay, all the testing techniques they have explained here: part testing, boundary interior testing, compound condition testing, modified condition decision coverage, branch and condition testing, basic condition testing, statement testing, loop boundary testing, LCS AJ. Okay, then branch testing. Okay, they have written all the techniques that we have come across in this particular diagram, and they are explaining you the subsumption relation. What do you mean by subsumption relation? Suppose if you are carrying out, I'll just explain you one thing over here. That is, if you are going for part testing, okay, then indirectly you are performing these things also. That is, that part testing will also carry out boundary interior testing. That is, what I can say is part testing subsums boundary interior testing. Okay, if you are performing MCDC testing, modified condition decision coverage testing, then indirectly you are performing branch and condition testing. This is how MCDC testing subsumes branch and condition testing. Okay, with the help of this diagram, you have to explain subsumption relation. Okay, suppose if you go for branch testing, okay, indirectly you are performing the statement testing. Okay, this is what I call it as one testing technique subsumes another testing technique. Okay, and with the help of the diagram only you have to explain. This diagram plays an important role in explaining the things. Okay, any doubts over here in understanding subsumption relation? Okay, you have to write all the testing techniques, and which will cover the other technique should be indicated with the help of diagram. Okay, then we are studying about the criteria associated with the structural testing. Okay, sometimes even though we mention about the criteria associated with the different coverage techniques like statement coverage, that may not be possible to achieve that criteria in the reality. Okay, so statements that cannot be executed because of certain programming things that you have included or the code reusability. Okay, then sometimes it is not possible for me to satisfy certain condition because of the interdependency that is existing between the conditions within the source code. Okay, and sometimes it so happens that certain parts cannot be executed because of interrelationship between the decision that I have written in the source code. Okay, and wherever the condition, okay, in which I'm not able to write the test cases for a particular scenario, through which I'm not able to carry out any of the techniques, like let it be a statement, condition, or path, such scenario I call it as infeasibility. Okay, it's not possible for me to write the test cases in order to test the particular scenario, because that is never happening whenever I execute the source code. Okay, such scenario I call it as infeasibility problem, because it is not allowing me to execute that scenario by writing the test cases. It's not possible for me to test the particular scenario even though I have designed the test case, because that is never happening whenever I execute the source code. That thing I call it as, that scenario I call it as infeasibility problem. Okay, after that, okay, that's about the first part of structural testing. Okay, in the second part, they will tell you about, they focus more on adequacy criteria and scaffolding technique. Okay, any doubts for anybody?